You can sit down. In Manhattan, behind a 500 square foot apartment, there was this, they didn't know what it was. There was this door that led into a 500 square foot apartment in the upper side of East Manhattan, and these smells and these sounds started to come out from behind the door. They didn't know what was behind it. They called the tenant. They couldn't get a hold of the person that rented the apartment. In fact, they hadn't seen him for weeks on end. The people that lived across from the hall kept hearing these sounds, and these smells kept getting worse and worse, and so they called the police. What is behind this 500 square foot door? Well, the cops show up and they listen and they try and hear where the noises are coming from, and it's this entire mystery. So they decided to cut a hole in the door to enter the apartment. They cut this hole in the door, and the first officer on the scene looks inside this small door, this place where they had carved into the door, and he looked into the apartment, and what he saw changed everything. What he saw was unbelievable. There was these two brothers who one of them invented dynamite. By the way, why do you want to know what's behind the door? Is it so much that what is behind the door, or is the question is, why do we want to know what's behind the door? We all do. I know you do. I'm going to tell you later, though, okay? And my name is Eric Samuel Timm, and if you're here at Chapel, thank you for coming to Mandatory Chapel. Really appreciate you choose today to make that part of your day. If you're studying for that test that's like next hour, just give up, okay? Because you should have studied a long time ago. You're a procrastinator. You're going to fail like I did. All right. Sorry, it's just, you had all week, pal. There were these two, I think somebody snorted right here. That was right on target there. I was like, okay. There were these two brothers, and one of them invented dynamite. His name was Alfred. This is a long time ago in history. The two brothers, one of them invented dynamite. The other guy just had a normal job at a bank. And what happened was the brother at the bank actually died. Not the one that invented dynamite, but the brother at the bank. But the papers got it wrong. They screwed this up. They thought the inventor of dynamite, Mr. Alfred, this brother had died, but it was actually the brother at the bank. So they printed in the papers in big, bold headings, "Inventor of dynamite dies, the dealer of death is dead." Well, papers got it wrong. The brother, obviously that's alive, the inventor of dynamite, reads his own obituary in the headlines, reads his own write-up story about his life. The dealer of death. He is so confronted with what he has created that he sells everything that he has, all of his worldly possessions. And then Alfred starts what's called the Alfred Nobel Peace Prize, the exact opposite of blowing stuff up. He has this shift. Why is he so passionate then about peace? What would cause Abraham Lincoln to emancipate and proclamate 77 years ago, our forefathers conceived a new nation on this continent dedicated to the idea, to the proposition that all of us are created equal? Why was he so into justice? Why would Amelia Earhart try and fly around the world? What would make Dr. King stand on those steps and say, "I have a dream that all of us are equal"? Why would he say that? Because you and me, we're built for passions. We want to know what's behind the door because we're built to want to know what's behind doors. We want to fly around the world because we're built to burn for passions like flight, like to go around. We want to stand on steps and declare a dream because we're built to dream. We're built for passions. That's part of our identity. You've been talking a little bit about identity, and you are built for passions. People are passionate about all kinds of things. Cars, coffee, cantaloupes, parrots, poinsettias, pineapples. We could go through the alphabet from A to Z. The Bigfoot show. Finding Bigfoot? Has anybody ever seen that mess? Okay, by the way, one reason why I want you to all finish college, okay? Just watch that show. These are grown men in the middle of the night that are out in the woods looking for a Yeti, a Sasquatch, Chewy, I don't know, okay? The guy's, like every episode, if you've never seen this the guy's like, they got all this camo on and night goggles that they got the Army surplus store. Hey, you hear that? You hear that? And then the guy that's with them that's just like tagging along is like, no, man, I don't hear anything. We've been out here for 4 days. And then the guy's like, that's always awkward when you hear someone breathe, okay? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I can hear your nostrils. The guy's like, you smell that? It's smelling kind of squatchy. That's a word he uses. You can use that later. Football team, by the way, when you walk into the locker room, you'll be like, man, it is squatchy in here. The guy's like, no, that was me, sorry. If you didn't get that, just think about it for a minute, you'll get it. People are passionate about all kinds of things. I mean, we could go through the list. You are passionate about things. You're passionate about sports or music or food or you have interests and likes and dislikes. I mean, it's really a part of who you are, being passionate about something that you're passionate about. A lot of your hobbies, a lot of your craft, even the things that some of you are studying at this university, at this college, you are passionate about because you and I were built for passion. We were built to ignite. We are built to burn for something. If you're out in the middle of the woods and you got to make a fire, you need a couple things to do that. Well, at its raw level, you need matter to burn, and you need oxygen in the air to allow that matter to burn, and then a spark. You need matter and oxygen, like these two raw ingredients to make fire happen. In the Bible, whether you have been following Jesus or you wouldn't consider yourself a Christian, either way, I'm just glad you're here. To be honest with you, I was the kid that went to a Christian university, that got kicked out of a Christian university, only to get let back into the Christian university, to be surrounded by the environment, wrestling with questions of faith myself, understanding, could this all really be real, or is Jesus just another story among stories? And if you are asking those questions and you wouldn't consider yourself a follower of Christ, can I just simply say you are in a great place to ask those hard questions. You are surrounded by people that truly love you, on a different timeline. You got professors that know things that people want to know, and you've got these ideas that you can wrestle with. You're in a great environment to wrestle with faith and doubt, which are great dance partners, by the way. If you don't have doubt, I don't think you can have faith. So if you doubt that God is real and that he has a plan for your life, you are ready for faith. It's like pre-algebra and algebra. In the Bible, it talks about us. And if you don't have a Bible, totally okay. Just stay at a hotel. There's one in the drawer, free continental breakfast and a Bible. That's where I got this one. All right. Genesis 2 talks about how he made us from the beginning, like the first man. God forms the man out of the dust, out of matter, and he breathes into the matter. So just flash back for a second. You're in the woods. You need to start a fire. You need air. You need matter. What are we at the essence of the core of who we are? We're matter filled with air. We're dust and dirt that God has breathed into. And we're ready to burn. We're ready to ignite. It's part of who you are. You're built for passions. You're built for fire. You are built like air and matter colliding in a place, and it's part of who you are. Let me put it a different way. Maybe more of a concrete way. You are not this. You're not a refrigerator. And some of you are like, well, thank the Lord. So, you're not a refrigerator. You are a furnace. If you could think about you as like how you are, if you forget me, great. If you never remember anything I say, just remember this: you are not a fridge, you are a furnace, and you are built to burn for fire. You're not meant to keep things cold. You're not meant for no passion and no interests and no things that drive you. This force that makes us human beings, not human doings. You're not a machine. You're not a fridge. You're a furnace. You're meant to hold and house fire and passions and interests, and it's part of who you are. And there's two truths about fire that you can find on this earth. There are two truths about all the fire that you'll see, all the passions that you'll encounter, all the likes and dislikes that you could have. There are two truths about fire on this earth. The first is simply this: God is fire. The God that made you, whether you have a relationship with his son or not, I just simply want to say God made you by hand. He knit you together, put you together, another writer says. He formed you together like air and matter. You were made by God. We are all made by God. And he's fire. He's like fire. I can't really explain to you in a small window of our lives colliding like two trains on a track what God is fully. I can only tell you what he's like. God is so big, so huge, so enormous. It's ineffable. That's a fancy word, a Scrabble word you could use for a lot of points if you get the triple letter score on the F. But it's ineffable in a sense where it's without words. I can't tell you what God is. I can only tell you what he's like. Because anything I say in poetry or in prose or in art or in metaphor or in dance, it just falls short. It can't really capture who God is. There's a Jewish hymnist that says, if we with ink the ocean fill, or if skies of parchment made, and every stalk on earth a quill, and every man a scribe by trade, to write the love of God above would drain the ocean dry, nor could the scroll contain the whole, though stretched from sky to sky. If we filled up the ocean with ink and every one of us were writers and we were all using blades of grass that were now ballpoint pens, the ocean would run out of ink. The sky that's now paper couldn't even contain to talk about God. Couldn't even get it done. That much ink, that much paper, that many writers couldn't declare who God is. I can't either. I can only tell you what he's like. And he's like fire. In the story of Exodus, he's like this pillar of fire. He's above in this box, this Ark of the Covenant, inside and outside, between these two little angels that look like the Valentine's Day card with a soggy diaper and two wings, and it's like the cherubim, or kind of thing. Like he's that. He's fire in Acts. He's fire in all throughout the Bible. You can even read it for yourself. Genesis, read it with me. Genesis, he's the fire of creation. Exodus, he calls us out of the burning bush. Leviticus, the fire that consumes our sin. Joshua, the fire that tears down the walls. Judges, Ruth, 1st and 2nd Samuel. Gideon, fire. I mean, look at Kings, 2nd Kings. Elisha's fire. Elijah's fire. 1st and 2nd Chronicles. He's Shekinah glory. Fire. You can read about that in Job, Psalms, and Proverbs. He's the fire of wisdom, the fire of joy, the fire of comfort. I mean, you can go through the Bible all the way cover to cover. Just keep going. Guys, just keep going all the way through. In the Gospels, he's the fire that's made flesh in Christ. Just keep trucking through it. Minor prophets, Acts, Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, all the way to Revelation. He's the fire that was and is and always will be. And you can... I'll have that posted just for sake of time on my Facebook wall if you want to copy and paste that later. But you can read about God all through the Bible, in every book of the Bible, and there's a metaphor about him being fire, because God's fire. And you're meant to burn for something. You're meant to hold fire. You're meant to be a furnace. And there are two truths about fire. The first is God is fire, and the second, sin is fire. David, I love what he says in Proverbs 6. He says, can you hold fire close and not get burned? In Minnesota, where I'm from, there's First Nations people that call alcohol fire water. Now, I'm not talking whether it's right or wrong to drink. Frankly, I believe that Jesus turned water into wine, but not grape juice. But the bottom line is simply this. People search alcohol in massive consumptions at a bar because they're searching for fire. Relationships, you find marriages that are once put together in union. There was passion and fire, and then somebody goes searching because that person isn't quite lighting their fire. They go searching for fire. Gentlemen, ladies, when you read 50 Shades of Grey, you know what you're searching for? Fire. Guys, when you click on pornography, you know what you're searching for? Fire. It's this fire that is like very attractive to us because we're meant to hold it. And God is fire and sin is fire, and we have to decide which we're going to burn for. If you know anything about King David, he knows that you can mess around with fire. And God's fire is different because if you commit to God's fire, you get refined. If you play with the fire that's sin, David says it best, you just simply get burned. You are a furnace. You are not a fridge, and you are meant to burn for something. Sin or God. For me, I have spent a lot of my life thinking about the sins of admission. Like the things that I have done that have wronged me or my wife or the people around me, the things that I've committed, those sins of admission. Don't do this, don't do that, those kind of sins. Like at 12:30 when I had my second Big Mac, 12:30 in the morning, by the way, when I had my second Big Mac, sins of admission, like the things that you do. But can I be really just honest with you, where God's been challenging me in my own personal faith, my own journey, especially the last few years, is the sins of omission. Not admission, the things I'm participating in, but those things that I am meant to burn for that I have failed to participate with. Those things that I'm not doing that maybe I should do. I had a friend that died, and he was given a death sentence and 1 year to live, and he just asked me a question a number of years ago. Eric, if you had 1 year to live, what would you do? And I didn't think about all the things that I wouldn't do, like those things that are harmful. I immediately started thinking about the things that I'm not doing that I would do. I'd love more. I'd give more. I'd hope more. I'd burn for those things that change this earth if I had 1 year to live, and maybe you would too. We're meant to burn for something. We are a furnace, not a fridge. And I started asking myself that question. And I was in a field in the middle of Pennsylvania, and an answer sort of showed up. I was in a field in the middle of Pennsylvania. It wasn't my turn to speak yet. There's 60,000 people there at this festival, and I'm eating a funnel cake because I am passionate about funnel cakes. Okay? If funnel cakes are not in heaven, we're going to get there and be like, Lord, thought you said there was no suffering. What's up with the no funnel cake rule? Hallowed be your name, but where is it, buddy? God will be like, hold out your hand. Just appears. There's no powdered sugar. That's the best part of funnel cake. An angel comes over and like flicks its wings. No, like little deodorant balls. You ever get one of those? Horrible. That's where powdered sugar comes from. Some of you are like, I'm never using powdered sugar ever again. He gets up in front of everyone at this, this musician gets up in front of everyone at this festival, and I'm eating a funnel cake in my lawn chair, and he starts talking about the world and how it is. 24,000 children will die in a ditch today. Someone's son or someone's daughter, someone who was your age at one point, die in a ditch or a hospital bed because they can't go to window 1 and pick it up at window 2. They can't do what I do and what you do, look inside a refrigerator and lean on it and go, there's nothing to eat in here. and it's packed with food. They can't walk over to the perk and pick something out and put it on their meal card. They can't go to a cafeteria and pick out probably 5 or 6 different entrees on any given day. They can't do that. So 24,000 children. You fill up the Edmonton Oilers, one of my favorite hockey teams up in Edmonton. You fill up that stadium almost twice. That's how many kids die every day. From a preventable disease called hunger. Something that sometimes we don't even know what that's like. I mean, we eat because we're bored. Time you listen to a song on the radio, 12 girls are sold into the sex trade for their purity. Where it's taken from them sometimes 20 and 30 times a day. Every 4 minutes, we could sit here and watch the clicks on the clock. Every 15 seconds, someone dies because they can't get water, what we leave running, or what we can pick out at a gas station, or what we literally have in the bottom of toilet bowls that flush our waste away from our presence. Liquid gold to the rest of the world, something that is a disposable commodity to us. I mean, that's just 3 things. He starts talking about this up front, and I'm challenged in that, like, for so often of my life, I had sort of thought about Jesus' commands, love your God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind. And some of you are in that process, and you wouldn't necessarily say you love God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind. And that is okay, and God has a plan for you to come full circle in all of these things. But Jesus doesn't end there. He says, love your neighbor as yourself. And these kids that this guy is talking about, I got up to leave to go get another funnel cake. And I was challenged in the words of Christ that says loving your neighbor. What does that look like? Loving the person next to you, or the orphan or the widow, or someone that is homeless, or what does that look like for me? And I was so concentrating on the sins of admission that I had failed to look at the things that I wasn't doing that God had for me to do. Why does poverty exist? Where's the football team? Guys that play football, where are you at? Are you in here? Are you all gone? Okay. There's a whole group of dudes here. What do you guys play? Baseball? So the baseball team, do you guys want to know why poverty exists in this earth? It exists for you to do something about it. Why do those things exist? It exists for the baseball team at this university to decide to have a role in it. God promises to restore and repair all those things until the end. Guess who he uses? You and me. Us. To do this. Because we're meant to burn for something. We get so concentrated on the things that are shaping our identity that we shouldn't do, we fail to look at the things that we are invited to participate in that we haven't been doing. That was me in that lawn chair. This guy started talking about the poor through a ministry called Compassion International, how you can sponsor a child. I stopped listening altogether. I heard the pitch. I heard the lady with the runny makeup like talk about the $1 a day stuff on TV. I just got up to leave and walk away. And then something switched in me that on that journey from that lawn chair to that other funnel cake. I just felt something about that maybe you have felt like right here. And it's a small whisper. Sometimes it's a small tap. Sometimes it's a righteous anger. Sometimes it's man, that's hard to listen to. I should do something about that. Why doesn't God do something about that? Wait a second. He wants me to do something about that. He'll do something about that, but in the meantime, he wants me to do something. That all happened in like literally 30 seconds in my heart. And maybe it's happening in yours right now. About what you are invited to participate in, because you're not a fridge, you're a furnace. And you're meant to burn for justice and peace and hope and love. As the band comes, I just want to simply say, I walked over to this table and I found this little child on a packet. I painted her for you. This was my first sponsored child. Her name was Crystal. I filled out a form. I sent it in. I got a letter back. I didn't believe it was real because I thought that the letters went to like Phoenix, Arizona, like through the bank chute, like thunk, thunk, and there's a guy writing letters like in crayon with his left hand so it looks legit. Like I like football, or as you call soccer. You know what I'm saying? So I called Compassion. I said, I want to go meet this girl. They said, okay. I got on a plane from Minneapolis, Minnesota to Houston, Texas to Managua, Nicaragua, and the pastor of the local church came and picked me up. Took me to her house, looked like a laundry basket flipped upside down. The door swung open, and this woman was there, and she says, Erico, Daniela, you've come. Thousands of miles from home, and she knows me by name by the little letters that I'd written her daughter. And she says these words, thank you for sharing your love. Thank you for burning for passion, for something other than funnel cakes and satellite radio and the Starbucks coffee that you and your wife started to split and the cable channels that you shut off from 400 to 100. Thank you for burning for what Jesus talked about, loving your neighbor as yourself. And so I ask you the same thing. Will you share your love? If you've ever thought about sponsoring a child, sponsor a child. It's real. These kids are real. Baseball team, maybe a couple of friends of you can say, hey, should we split a kid? That's a weird. It sounded different in my head, but hey, you want to split a kid? Sure, right down the middle. I'll get my bat. But maybe it's not $38 for yourself, but maybe you could do it together. Your roommate or someone on your same floor, maybe you could sponsor a child together. Maybe you've sponsored a child with compassion and you stopped sponsoring. Take the pressure off yourself. I would rather have you start again than never try. Failure is not trying. Sponsor a child and it'll change everything for that child, but it will do something inside of you that confirms the way that you are built from the beginning of time. You are air and you are matter and you are meant to burn. And Jesus says what we're meant to burn for. Not sin, not those things that distract. We get so concentrated on the things of admission that we fail, that we just are invited into all the things that maybe we're not participating in. So if you're looking for a place to be involved in the sex trade or to stop hunger or to cease people's thirst, then don't look any further from a life that's on a table right outside here, right now. Because you're meant to burn for something. What was behind that door in Upper Manhattan was a 400-pound Bengal tiger. The tenant had brought a small cub illegally and started raising this cub in a 500-square-foot apartment. He fed the cub as much as he could until he couldn't feed the cub anymore. And then this 400-pound Bengal tiger started to eat its owner. That 400-pound Bengal tiger for me are the things that God invites me into that I fail to do. It becomes something that starts small, but it grows into something huge and it consumes my life, and I fail to see everything around me. Don't let the tiger consume who you are and what you're meant to burn for. These children on the other side of the earth, if they were all here, not one of them would go unsponsored. Don't miss it. You're not a fridge, you're a furnace, and you're meant to burn for something. One of those things that Jesus talks about, just one, is loving our neighbor as ourselves. He talks about who is our neighbor. These children are a great example. Don't miss it. Fill out the form, turn it in. We have a gift for you. They're going to be in the cafeteria after if you need to go get your credit card or your debit card or your cash or your rubles or your denarii or whatever you got, and you can fill it out later. But the band's going to play and you have an open dismissal, and it's 4 minutes over, 5 minutes now over your normal time. I get that. You've got 10 minutes to get to your class. I'll just say this. If you're late to your next class because you're sponsoring your child, just bring your teacher up to me. I teach homiletics and boxing, okay? You choose which one I'll use with your professor. Jesus, I just pray today for these students and these children on these packets, God, the students that are here that are wrestling with their identity and who they are. God, they are a furnace, not a fridge. You are fire. And so are the things that can distract us that we participate in, and just as detrimental are the moments that we get to miss. God, let that not be one of those moments here. Let these children on that table be sponsored by roommates and friends and baseball teams and individuals and groups of people that meet on campus. God, let there be 50 children today on the other side of the earth that we love so someone can be rescued. So someone else can become another furnace that burns for justice, hope, truth, peace, love. Something that changes this world that's found in you. In Jesus' name.